Hello, my. Let me try that one again. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Operation Logistics, where we have this down to a quasi-reasonable time frame, but what happens if we're going a long ways? What happens if we come down here? So, route management, edit route, bam. That wasn't too bad, I guess. Although I am noticing that our world hex doesn't seem to be colored at all, does it? Let's see what's going on there. In the hex manager, get path length within world hex. Well, that should be returning too much, right? Well, no, because we're iterating through the routes. Get path length within world hex. Then calls all of these. And the biome hex doesn't go down to the building hex level at all, which is one of the reasons why this is so much faster. But it doesn't seem to be coloring the world hex at all, which makes me think that color world hexes. And then we get the world hex map mode inclusion as our coloration strength. No, it seems to me like that should be coloring it. Let's just see if it is. And I didn't actually restart Unity like I said I was going to. Hopefully it doesn't become a problem. I'm going to be down here just so that we can actually see what's going on. Create route. No, we need to buy land. Sure, that'll do. Create route. Bam. Is that glowing brighter? I'm not sure. I'm colorblind, so it's hard to tell. Well, let's just give it like a crazy amount of coverage. Obviously, this route is getting really long, and so it's causing some lag with the calculations for the initial generation. But, okay. Now the question is this hex any brighter? It does not appear to be, does it? Also, going back to default map mode doesn't seem to work anymore. That's an issue, to be sure. It does work, just not for the world hexes. Okay. That's interesting. So the world hexes are not getting recolored at all right now. And the question is, why not? Why not indeed? So we're doing color building hexes, color biome hexes, color world hexes, and then color world hexes calls the get world hex map mode inclusion. And then we color the hex default here. And yeah, I actually don't know why the world hex isn't coloring. Everything else appears to be working correctly, and I'm willing to bet that the world hex coloration is as well, except that for whatever reason it's not actually calling it. Also, there's a very loud tractor driving by right now. That's a little bit obnoxious. So, why is it not coloring the world hexes? Well, it clearly actually is, because otherwise it would be cleared, right? Because we clear the mesh colors right here. Interesting. We can also perhaps change the Get Building Hex map mode inclusion here. And make this a little bit more efficient. I don't know, this is already reasonably efficient. I mean, it does basically the same thing, but we can swap it over to use the same function. So if business... Hang on. No, I think this is better. I mean, it's going to need to iterate through already. Yeah. I think it's fine the way it is. So the question then remains, why is it not coloring the world hexes? Well, it is, but why is it returning get path length within world hex as 0? Well, let's take a quick look at the root and see what's going on there. So we grab our biome hexes here, get path length within biome hex, which may or may not be working. Path contains building hex is obviously working. So if there's an instance in the root of it being within the biome hex, then that counts. And then it returns the percentage of covered here, which is fine. That's exactly what we want it to do. And then we iterate through all of the biome hexes, and we add up that percentage, and essentially take the average percentage. It's essentially what's happening here. And use that as our coloration within the world hex. I mean, that's all well and good. Except that it's not working. So why isn't it coloring? Why indeed? And I don't know the answer. That is unfortunate. That is very unfortunate. I'm not immediately seeing the problem here, so we may have to put it down as a known issue and move on. Because, I mean, we clear the mesh colors, we iterate through all the roots, add up the highlighted sum. I have no idea. From what I can tell, it should be working. Get world hex map mode inclusion. Yeah, I'm very confused about it. And the interesting thing is that we can't go back to default map mode once we get here. But when we start in default map mode, it works fine. So... it works fine for the subhexes as well, so that's not a problem. And then the question becomes, why isn't it working for the world hexes? I mean, that's been the question. Get world hex map mode inclusion. Yeah, it... as far as I can tell, it should work. But it doesn't, so clearly I'm wrong on something, on some level. I just don't know where. So we need to try to track this down, I think. I want this map mode working, because I want to be able to implement the other map modes very simply by just changing the way that they are done. Which reminds me that Okay, yeah, this would just be for the coverage map mode. But when we change into the other map modes, we would change the get building hex map mode inclusion. Which would change the biome hex inclusion, right? So we go in here, that uses the get building hex map mode inclusion, which allows us to change the biome hex map mode inclusion. And that, in turn, influences the world hex. So yeah, we should be able to very, very simply implement it here. So, in default map mode, this would always return true. Which would mean that the subhex manager should always return 1.0f, or thereabouts, to account for floating point errors. So it iterates through all of these, adds in, if it's true, which it should be, so it should add in 73 of these, and then divide by 73. And then return essentially 73 divided by 73, so right about 1.0f. And then we go into the hex manager. You know what? We only do this for when there are roots. Yeah, that's a thing. Get path length within world hex. This needs to be... Okay, that's the problem. So this, instead of business.roots.count, this needs to be... This needs to be get world hex by index, and then we pass in the world hex index. And dot biome hexes dot count, because we need to iterate through all of our biome hexes and run it this way. Highlighted sum plus equals that. We need to divide this by 73f because that's the number of biome hexes we have. And instead of business.roots, we need to instead be running a biome hex manager dot get biome hex map mode inclusion. And then we need to pass in our map mode. So that's going to be slower, because it's going to be calling that on a lot more things. And the question is, how much slower? Let's open the profiler back up. Oh, that's a good sign. Okay, there we go. I'm going to go ahead and clear the profiler quick. And let's just run this and see just how much slower it is. Did we wipe out all of our gains? Hopefully not. By land, here, root management, create root. We'll set up our root real quick over here, coverage map mode. That's still reasonable. However, argument out of range exceptions. That's actually a good sign. So that proves the theory. So A is reasonably quick. Let's see, what do we got here? Sub hex manager line 554. Neighbors. How are we going out of range there? How are we going out of range there? I actually don't know. No VLC, I don't want you right now. Let's run this again and choose a different hex. So root management, create root. We're going to head over just this way. Argument out of range exception. Only on the world hexes. That's fascinating. So that indicates to me that we are probably passing in an incorrect thing. Line 554 Subhex Manager, line 55. So right here. Let's continue tracing this back. Hex Manager, line 648. Right here. So get biome hex map mode inclusion. Wait a second. We need to be passing an I here, don't we? We don't want to pass a -1. I'm pretty sure. So let's go to the subhex manager and verify that. int3 hex. Yep. That's the problem. Okay. We were passing -1, but we actually did need to know the biome hex index in question. Oh my, there's not much here. That's okay though. We'll go ahead and purchase this apartment complex. Create a route. What? No, create a route. There you go. And we're just going to head up over here. Coverage map mode. Hey, that looks like a good sign. We're at least back to where we were. And then the main question is, if we go back into edit route mode and come on down over here, put up a good amount of coverage. Of course, that's going to be laggy, but that's fine. Is that color any different? I'll be honest, it looks the same to me. Let's take this route all the way up over here. Okay, and now let's remove this route. Oh hey, that didn't update it. Okay. Okay, we can see. It is indeed. It is indeed lightning. Very, very slightly, but it is indeed lightning. We should probably consider making it a little bit more, but I think that'll do for now. So I'm going to go ahead and put a cut in here. Next episode, we are probably going to work on something else. We'll see. Subscribe for more, and I will see you all next time.